ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Midland Cultural Centre, and welcome to A Day in the Life. Now, here is the host of A Day in the Life, Fred Hacker.
We're really happy you're here. This is the 128th program in our series, and we have had some fascinating guests. We have had people at the peak of their career. We may have occasionally had people like me past the peak of their career. But tonight we have people who are just on the ascension, and it's so exciting to look ahead to what this young couple are going to achieve. I want to begin, though, by thanking our sponsors. This program is sponsored by a season sponsor, and that is Kathy Bales, Michelle Deschamps, Jeff Holloway. They are portfolio managers at RBC Dominion Securities, and they provide wealth management services and strategic advice to their clients. I think Jeff is here. I'm not sure if Michelle is here. There's Jeff. Jeff, stand up and accept our thanks. Is Michelle here? No, okay, good. Not good. That's unfortunate. Yeah. And we have two show sponsors tonight. The first is Pier 21, and we want to extend thanks to Nick Baduris, who's unable to be with us, but we'll still thank him, right? And our second sponsor is Midland Home Hardware Building and Design Center, and I think Kevin is here. Kevin Matta, stand up and take our thanks. So the program is made possible by these people, and we appreciate it if you use their services and businesses. Well, without further ado, I am very excited by this program. This program has been in the planning for most of this year, and we're just so excited to have these two young people, and I think some of you probably know them better than I do as I look around the room, but I hope we'll all get to know them. So first of all, would you welcome Allie Laliberte?
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Grab a seat.
Thanks.
Now, I don't know whether there's an applause meter, but I don't think Jed can beat that. But please welcome Jed Tavernier.
I think I got it beat.
Hey, Jed.
Right. Thank you.
Grab a seat.
All right.
So you probably can tell, audience, when you look at the three of us, that this is a fitness class. Well, maybe it's 2/3 of a fitness class. So it's so great to have you with us. Thank you so much. This is going to be fun. I was mentioning to the audience, and you probably heard me saying that you guys are just on the launching pad of your careers, and it's so exciting that young people from our community are already achieving so much, and we just look forward to great things from you, and we want to learn a little about your backgrounds. I've told you, and I'll tell our audience, that our intention is to provide inspiration, and we do that in two ways. One way is to hear who inspired you on your way up, and your way up has been fairly recent, but also that you will inspire our audience. And I can see some young people in the audience who probably look up to you as role models, and so tonight we hope to tell them just how well you're doing. So I want to begin by talking early days with you, and perhaps we'll start with you, Allie, and you can tell us when and where you were born.
Yeah, I was born July 20th, 1995, here in Midland.
And is that you?
That's me.
What a cute little kid.
I think I was pretty cute.
Yeah. That's fun. Jed, where were you born and when?
September 6th, 1995. It was a glorious day.
We all celebrated.
Yeah, I think so. I was born in Aurelia, Ontario, because my dad thought it'd be better for us to be born out there. So. Okay. Yeah.
But you both grew up in Midland.
Yes.
To the extent you've grown up.
Yeah.
No,
Yep.
I'm kidding. So it's great to know about your beginnings, and I'd like to know a little bit about your families. And I think we have a picture of you, Allie, with somebody special in your world.
Yes,
Tell us.
my mom.
Yeah, tell us about your folks.
So my mom's name is Anne, my dad's name is Paul. Both really hardworking, fabulous parents. I grew up, they split when I was younger, but very good friends and really great parents.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Jed, tell us about your folks.
Yeah, we have my Papa Joe that everyone knows. Yeah, he raised us, and yeah, for my whole life coming up in Midland, which was great. Also have my stepmom, Joan. She was amazing, raised us as well, cooked us some great food. It was amazing. Yeah, and then we also have my mom, Stacy, who,
Yeah, I think some of our audience would know your mom, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So she was born and raised in Midland as well, and yeah, it was great, honestly, coming up.
Great. And tell us about your siblings, Allie.
Yeah, I have.
Now, you have a complication when we talk about siblings. I've got to
Yeah.
keep track of this on my fingers.
It's hard to maneuver, but I have 4 sisters.
Yes?
I have a full sister,
Full sister.
Heather. So same mom, same dad.
Do we have a picture of Heather? Yeah.
That's me and Heather.
There. This was just taken last week.
Pretty
I
cool
think.
kids, if you ask me. Yeah. So that's Heather. I have a half sister, so same dad, different mom, whose name is Kathy. Then I have a stepsister, Emily. My mom remarried a fabulous man named Wayne. He's my stepdad. And so, yeah, only related by marriage, Emily, my stepsister. And then I have an adopted sister, Haley, who came into our lives when I was like 16, 17, I think.
Full, half, step, adopted.
Yeah, all girls.
And all girls.
Yeah.
Well, what could be better?
Right.
Yeah. Jed?
Couldn't have made this any harder for you, eh? 'Cause, so this is tough. Yeah. Yeah, so I have my, from my original parents, I have my older sister, Jasmine, 4 years older than me. I have my older brother, Telvin, 2 years older than me. And then, yeah, each of my parents are remarried, and they each had a daughter, so I have 2 half-sisters, Sydney and Meiji.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Thank you. Now, there's some other family that I learned about through some pictures, and I just think that this lady deserves some recognition.
Yeah, that's my grandma. She's one of the first people in my life, I would say, that gave me like really artistic influence. She was very artsy, loved that I sang, played guitar, was always at my theater. So she played piano herself, always brought me to like the ballet, and was really into theater herself. So she was a really big influence for me, being a little artsy kid.
And this young lady,
That's my niece,
yeah.
my little baby. I call her my mini-me just because she has blonde hair and blue eyes like me, but she's a happy, crazy little kid, and I love her so much.
She looks a little bit like the girl we saw in the first picture.
Right? I
Yeah,
think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Jed, we haven't shown any pictures of
Yeah,
your
did those get
family
lost
yet.
in the mail, or what happened there?
Well, I think they are lost, but I'd like to ask you to tell us why they're lost.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think I sent them in time, but no, I'm kidding. Yeah, we actually, unfortunately, we went through a house fire a couple years ago. I'm sure many people noticed. We live on the hill, so if you saw a big smoke, and that was it. Yeah, so unfortunately, my family had to endure that, but I'm just happy that everyone made it out safely. Unfortunately, our memorabilia and our old photo albums, everything, they didn't make it out. So, yeah, that's why I'm kind of lacking on that area. I take a lot of pictures now, though, a lot of selfies. So just wait on it. Those are coming.
Trust me, there are a lot of pictures.
Those are coming now.
Yeah.
All right? So I had to make up for it. So those are coming. But, yeah.
Oh, your little sister played a big role in saving the family, did she not?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I credit a lot to her for that because, if it wasn't for her, we don't really know what would have happened.
Yeah.
She came home late at night. Everyone was sleeping in the house, and the whole main floor was full of smoke. And had she not come home that night, who knows what would have happened. So she got everybody out, and luckily everyone was safe. But, I mean, if she didn't decide to come home that night, things could have been different. But
Yeah, well, we're glad that everybody's safe.
absolutely.
Let's talk about school days. Allie, let's talk about elementary school. Where did you go to school?
Yeah, I went to École Saint-Joseph, so I was a little French kid.
And are you fluent in French?
I am, yes.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good. And did you have a favorite teacher there who may have influenced you?
My favorite teacher was always Madame Rita. She was our music teacher. She was just someone, when you see someone and you're like, you love your job. Like, you're meant to do this. She was that to me. So, yeah, she always made music class really fun, and I always enjoyed it.
And did she follow you after you graduated?
She was a little bit older, so I think she was retired before I finished elementary school. But.
Yeah. And Jed, where'd you go to elementary school?
I went to Monsignor Castigs. Yep, stand up. Yeah, strive for greatness, strive for excellence. That was our motto. So kind of stuck with me my whole life.
Anybody special as an influence for you at the school?
Yes, I would definitely say Mr. Janak. He was one of my favorite teachers by far. I think everybody that went through his class would say the same. He was just such a big personality, very athletic, would always play sports with us, but at the end of the day, we all had a lot of respect for him. And yeah, we just appreciated all the lessons he taught us. And secondly was Miss Kretschmann for me. She was just, again, just a positive energy, a great light, and she was also my basketball coach, so she was there for me on in the classroom and on the court, so.
Yeah, we're going to hear a little bit about basketball, aren't we, as we go through your life?
Maybe a little bit, I mean.
We'll get ready for that, won't we, Allie? Yeah. Allie, outside of school, in those early years, primary school years, elementary school years, what kinds of things were you involved in?
Yeah, I was very much an art kid. I played guitar at one point, I sang at one point, wanted to be a rock star. Then I went into theater, was going to be on Broadway, then, or movie star, not sure. Then I went to sewing camp. I thought I was going to be a designer. I went through all of the arts you could probably think. I went to be a painter at one point. So every art I went through.
Good for you.
Yeah, I loved it. Anything I could get my hands on arts-wise, yeah.
And you did some acting with an organization that
Yes.
is in this building.
Yeah, I was in a couple Huronia Players theater productions. I was in Stuart Little and Alice in Wonderland when I was younger, in the ensemble.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Jed, outside of school, my suspicion is that sports may have played a bit of a role.
No, actually, I was just part of book club.
Just
no, I'm
acting.
kidding. Yeah, I was pretty much in every sport you could imagine. You know, basketball, volleyball, track, cross country, soccer, everything. So, yeah, I really credit my parents for putting me into everything and letting me decide what I liked the most and prioritize that. So, yeah, it was a lot of basketball though. Like I made my dad put up a hoop in the driveway. Yeah. And I'd be shooting from the corners, Kobe, 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 right? So that's how I really thought I was going to the NBA. Like I was for sure going to the NBA.
You may still.
Yeah, I mean, I still have a chance, right?
Yeah.
So do you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Fred, you got it.
Jed,
It's never too late.
that's a given.
You know?
Yeah.
6'5".
Yeah. I was telling Jed that the movie called White Men Can't Jump was built on my life.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's tough.
I believe it.
Jed, you also had a music background.
Yeah. I mean, if you could call it that.
Okay.
Went to piano lessons for a couple months. Quit.
Yeah.
Bought a guitar. Never got the lessons. Like, I was like aspiring to be a musician, but you know, it just never happened for me. So now I just sing in the shower.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Alone, I hope.
Hello. Sometimes.
Well, let's move on to secondary school.
Run it. It's not that kind of show.
Allie, let's talk about where you did your secondary school.
Yeah, I did my first 2 years at Le Caron, and then I switched for grade 11 and 12 to St. T's.
Okay. And why did you switch?
I started dancing kind of when I started high school,
Yeah.
and I was thinking maybe I would pursue that post-secondary, so St. T's had dance class as a credit, and I was like, well, that sounds fabulous. If I could dance instead of sit in a class, and I could get a credit for dancing, I was sold. So once I learned that, I was like, hey, Mom, can we sign the papers?
Now, this picture isn't very clear, but it looks
That's
to me
okay.
like you're doing the splits.
Yeah, somewhat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the point at which the three of us are going to do this.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's later.
Yeah, later.
Yeah, okay.
Later. And then the lift.
And the lift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you guys got it.
I'm lifting Jed.
Yeah.
Any special teachers that you want to acknowledge?
Of course, my dance teacher, Miss Deaning, Miss Rhea Deaning. The fact that I got to take dance a couple years in a row there was great, but she was just really supportive. Another teacher that I was like, wow, you were meant to be a teacher. Just so supportive, so encouraging, and yeah, really helped me out growing up also outside of school, and yeah, really great.
You know, there's a theme there that I'm always interested in, and that is that the good teachers don't only teach you about your art or your sport, they also help you prepare for life.
Yeah.
And, both of you have mentioned to me that there were people along the way who did that, so we'll maybe touch on that. Now, it wasn't all hard work. I think is this a prom picture?
Yeah, that was St. T's prom. I usually have curly hair, and I went crazy and straightened it.
Yeah.
And I think it lasted straight for like 10 minutes, then it started to curl. But I got the picture first, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's a cute picture.
Yeah, thank you.
Jed, high school, secondary school for you?
Yeah, so I went to St. Teresa's. Go Thunder. And for me, my experience was, I'd say, again, centered around sports, but also athletics.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's the same thing. Academics. Yeah, so,
I wasn't going to correct you.
Yeah, you weren't going
Killed
to.
it,
Yeah, you're not
killed
there
it,
for me.
yeah.
Student athlete, student comes first,
Yeah.
especially in my household. So, yeah, made sure my grades were always on point, and then sports came next. So that kind of helped me with my choice of teacher, who's my most influence, would be Mr. Bouchard for sure. He was my teacher and coach.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he was just there for me in all facets of my life, not just on basketball court. He's the type to pick you up and bring you if you need to go somewhere. We drove to places in the States. He would drive us 12 hours in his CRV. Like, we're driving, 5 of us in the CRV. Like, he was just there for us for everything. So, I really appreciate the lessons that he taught us.
And what kind of success did the basketball team have?
We experienced a lot of success. When I got to senior, we won 3 GBs in a row, so 11, 12, 13. We got a 4th place at OFSA and a 3rd place at OFSA as well.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think in Bouchard's
stiff
tenure,
competition.
Yeah. I mean, it was good. We had a good program,
Yeah.
and it's surprising because we have such a small town.
Yeah.
So the fact that Bouchard was able to get these guys to commit, and 6 a.m. in the summer every day, like, that's tough. So, yeah, it just shows how much passion he had for it,
Yeah.
and it leaked into us.
Ellie, what kinds of activities were you engaged in outside your school time at the 2 secondary schools?
Yeah, only dance, really. I'm a one-trick pony. As soon as I found dance, I was like, yeah, I'm sold. So I started dancing in the summer before 9th grade, and then it was pretty much every day after that. Every day after school, if I wasn't in the studio, I was in the little dance room my mom made me in their basement and practicing my moves, so.
And by the end of secondary school, you were preparing to move on. There's a picture here, I hope. That's fairly good.
Thanks.
I really thought the next one was going to be me, but I guess it's like 10 in a row.
Not yet.
Okay.
Shall we do that later, Jed? Yeah.
It's okay, the selfies are coming.
Okay.
So this is, you would be sort of finishing high school at this?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
my last year of high school, I had my driver's license, and as soon as I got my license, I started driving, and I drove every weekend to Toronto to train. I had sometimes some people jump in the car with me, some fellow Midland dancers, and I was actually paying rent in Toronto before I graduated high school.
Wow.
And so the day after I graduated, I moved to Toronto and just kept training, so.
Now, Jed, we talked about your basketball at the high school, secondary school level, but you also played on other sort of rep teams, as I understand it.
Correct.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so for us, for some people, basketball was just a fall-winter sport.
Yeah.
For us, it was an annual sport. So we had no breaks. We went from, September to February for high school. March comes, we start OBA, and then June, July comes, we start AAU. So OBA is provincial, AAU is like summer. We go to the States and everything like that. And funny thing is, Bouchard was the coach of every single one of those teams. Wow. So again, that's why,
Huge commitment.
yeah. If he wasn't an influential part of my life, he made it. So yeah. He was.
It's worthwhile reflecting at this point, particularly because we have some young people in the audience. There's nothing that either of you have said so far that would leave me with the impression that this was an easy road. It was every day, every season, every month, hours and hours in the gym or the studio, working out or training or playing. In your case, classes and exercises and performances.
Yeah.
So that's a good message, I think, for us to leave, that if you want to get to the top, it's hard work that gets you there. right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, self-determination.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about post-secondary. Allie, you said you already had an apartment in Toronto by the time you graduated. I've never heard of anybody that had a.
I know.
What was that all about?
I was just going there all the time with a friend of mine, Josh Lamers, and he was looking for a roommate a little bit sooner than when I was going to graduate. And I was like, well, I know I'm going to be there like soon, just like 2 months, maybe 2-3 months. So I was like, well, why don't I just sign the lease and then I have somewhere to stay every weekend, because I was staying with friends every time I went. The friend being Josh. So I was like, well, why don't we just get a place together? I'll have my own room. I'm not crashing on your floor. So yeah, so we did that, and so that's why I was like, as soon as I graduate, I'm already paying rent. I got to go make my money. So yeah.
So when you graduated, what was the next step in your career?
Yeah, so I didn't do the traditional post-secondary education, although that was kind of maybe what a lot of people would have wanted me to do. I just felt like, especially with the type of dance that I wanted to do, which is hip hop and commercial, there's not much programming for that in post-secondary education. So just in my gut, I was like, I just think I should just go there and take classes and meet people that are doing it and learn from them. So whatever that meant, I'll just go figure that out. And so that's what I did. So I went to the city and just started meeting people and then trying to book jobs right away.
So did you know anybody in the dance world when you got to Toronto?
No, not really. I knew some people that I had trained with for that year, so I met some friends and stuff along the way, but the only other person that I would say is really like the person I knew there would be my friend Josh.
We have a shot here of you dancing. This would be early in the Toronto experience?
Yes, yeah.
Now, you mentioned that you were doing hip hop and commercial. And there may be one other person in the room who doesn't know exactly what, I think we all know what hip hop is, but explain what commercial is.
Yeah, commercial can sometimes be a mix of everything. It's basically what you see a lot of the time on TV, music videos. It's not always the most hip hop, for example, but it's what the job requires. So sometimes I'll show up and I'm trained in various styles, focusing in hip hop, so a lot of them are hip hop based, but kind of more of the show business type style of dance is the best way I could say.
So would you be dancing alone or would you be dancing in an ensemble?
It changes all the time.
Okay.
No job is ever the same. No performance is ever the same. Sometimes alone, sometimes with a partner, sometimes in a big group, small group. It always changes, keeps you on your toes. So.
And I understand that sometimes it was just for fun.
Yes.
Tell us about this picture.
Yeah, so this picture and the last picture, actually, there's 2 shows in Toronto. There's Bazaar I don't think is happening anymore, but there's a couple shows. Choreo Ball is another one where the dance community just puts them on kind of for fun. So people will rehearse and be like, hey, we're all going to get together and dance and put on a show. And so people can come watch, but it's a lot of dancers watching dancers and supporting. So it's a really fun event. So this is a picture from one of those times.
That's great.
Yeah.
Tell us about your first job.
Yeah, my first job was kind of, I don't think I've done a job similar to that actually since, but I got hired for a Nintendo party, and it was for the Just Dance game. I don't know if you've ever played that on like a, yeah.
I do, yeah.
Fred plays that every Friday.
Yeah, tournaments.
Every morning at 5 a.m. I dance for an hour.
Yeah, so it's basically a game that it kind of shows you
The
moves on the screen, and you copy it.
Yeah.
So I was hired to do those dances at kind of the launch party of that event.
And you're going to tell us you got paid for doing that?
I did, and
Wow.
that was the
Sounds like
first time that I was like,
great.
oh, I want to do this
That's
again.
great.
Yeah.
Now, you also, you used, as I understand it, you used to go to sort of drop in on choreographers and see what was going on and take classes if you could. And you got an opportunity to do a show with a guy who has become fairly big, I think.
Yes.
Who was that?
Yeah, so my first big music video was for Shawn Mendes. So I would go to classes all the time, and so by taking this one person's class, he was actually the one who gave me the job for the Nintendo. And then a couple months later after that, I think it was, that he messaged me again. He was like, hey, I have this music video for this artist, Shawn Mendes, and Shawn Mendes was a little bit smaller then, kind of on the come up. So that was kind of my first big music video where I was on like a real set with all the real equipment, the real directors and the mics and the whole
exciting.
thing. So yeah, it was a really cool experience.
Now, you also met a couple of other artists who've had reasonably successful careers in Toronto.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a little. Drake and Rihanna were my next kind of big music videos that I did in Toronto. So those,
Wow. That's
those,
kind of rising right to the top very quickly, isn't it?
yeah. But yeah, that was a really fun. The whole audition process for that was crazy. And again, every job is so different. So I auditioned for that one, booked it, and then I think that day was a 20-hour shoot day.
Wow.
Straight, yeah.
Wow, that's great.
Wow.
Jed, you did do post-secondary. Can you tell us what you were studying and where?
Yes. So I guess I took the conventional route. Like that sounds pretty cool too. But wow. Yeah, I applied to a bunch of universities. I actually stayed back an extra year of high school in order to explore my options more with basketball, just to get a year bigger, stronger. I actually ended up getting a bunch of offers for athletic scholarships from different universities in Canada. So I went to Western University in London. Yeah, I wanted to go there because it seemed like a great mix of athletics and academics.
Yeah.
I took kinesiology there, so I did a 4-year bachelor, and then you get 5 years of eligibility with basketball, so I used the 5th year to do my master's as well. So I did my master's of science in kinesiology as well.
Now, I know you in this picture.
Oh, wow, who's that?
There he is.
Is that your graduation?
Yes, this is my master's graduation.
Yeah.
So this was in 2019.
Great.
Yeah.
And who's the young, good-looking guy with you?
That's the guy that delivered about 75% of my friends, I think.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, you also played basketball. There's a theme coming here, Allie.
Yeah.
You see, basketball it's basketball and dance, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you played basketball at Western.
Yes.
And how'd you do in your first year?
I did well. I came in, I was starting. I got Rookie of the Year. So it was good, my first year for sure. They really embraced me there, and I'm still good friends with a lot of my veterans.
Yeah.
So it was a great culture, and it was a great year.
So I'm interested in the culture in the team. So there were some guys who were older than you. Was it hard breaking in?
You know, when it comes to varsity sports, everyone's very welcoming. I mean, if you go in there with an open mind, you don't try to, go in there with an ego. You just want to contribute to the team. When you're on a team, everyone wants to contribute to one goal. So when you're in there, it's like, we're going to go to battle with each other every single day.
But having a freshman start
Yeah.
must be a little unnerving for the seniors.
Yeah, there was definitely a couple seniors that I was starting over, and it can rub people the wrong way, but at the end of the day, it's like, it's not my decision, it's the coach's decision. So it's like,
for the team.
be mad at him, not me.
Yeah. I don't really want to start, but he may.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't want to do it.
Now, you also had an achievement in terms of the combination of your academics and your sports. By the way, I think we have a picture of you here in your Western uniform, so we should show people that.
Me, yeah.
So tell us about the other recognition you got, which I think is quite special.
Yeah, so in university sports, if you're a varsity athlete and you maintain above an 80% average, you get deemed an academic All-Canadian.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I got that 4 years in a row in the end of my career.
That's very impressive.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, you can clap.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Anybody there that was a big influence on you at Western?
Yeah, for sure. Dr. Bob LaRose, he was the first man I met when I got to campus. He was in the faculty of kinesiology. He was my first year professor. He was also the academic advisor for the basketball team. He had played basketball and football himself at Western, so he was just tenured. Like, he was a Western guy through and through, so he was just, he was always there for us, and he gave me a lot of good advice, navigating my program, balancing basketball and school at the same time. So, yeah, I just really appreciate him being there for me.
And you started doing some extracurricular stuff that wasn't basketball.
Yeah. I don't know if we want to dive in. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I started doing a couple fashion shows nearing the end of my Western career. You know, basketball took up all my time, and the 1 month per school year that we didn't have was when I could do things.
Yeah.
And the only thing I could really do that was anything meaningful to me was this charity fashion show.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I engaged in that. I can kind of attribute my ex to getting me into that one. And I was actually a lingerie model in that. So, I mean, you can Google that. That's up there.
I'm not sure I want to know yet.
That's another thing you could do, is it could be your next.
Oh, no, that's the next career.
Yeah.
Yeah. This, I understand, was your first shoot?
Yes.
And who was that for?
So this was just an overall like digi type shoot, like digitals. So this is when I first got into an agency, a modeling agency in Toronto. And basically, if you have no experience, they just want to help you build up your book so that brands and everything can see you. You need to have pictures. So this was just my first ever shoot in front of like a professional camera and everything. So,
Great.
yeah.
Allie, you at some point, I think, felt maybe you were outgrowing Toronto. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah. Or like, I've always just been very curious, maybe.
Yeah?
Let's say.
And you're an adventure seeker too, aren't you?
Yeah, for sure.
So where did you turn your eyes to?
Yeah, well, I, for some reason, was very drawn to LA. If you're a dancer, LA is kind of the place to go in showbiz. So I was like, well, maybe I'll venture out and see that, which is funny being a farm girl growing up and going right to the city and then right to a bigger city right after that. But yeah, I used to go to LA. I would visit for months at a time. My first time I went, I didn't know anyone, and I went for 5 months by myself.
And what would you try out for gigs at when you're there, or what?
I couldn't legally work because I was just visiting.
Yeah.
So I just trained, actually. I saved up a lot of my money, and I went and I took classes, and I basically was like, let me just go train and get better. And that was actually when I was scouted by my agent that I'm signed with currently. I went to their audition kind of as like, I just want to see what an audition in LA is like.
Yeah.
Like, I had no expectations, and then they turned around and said, well, we'll sign for your visa if you like. And I was like, I don't even know what a visa is. What does that mean? I thought that was a credit card. So I was like, I already have one. Like, I'm okay. And then that was kind of where I was like, as soon as I landed, I knew I wanted to move there somehow.
So how easy was it to get a visa to work in the U.S.?
It took me 5 years to get approved. I was denied once. It is up to, or it can be more, but up to $10,000 every time you apply. So I applied once and I was denied, and then I applied again a couple years later.
Now, on what basis were you denied? That it was not a unique skill that they needed in the USA?
So when you apply for what I'm on, it's called an O1 visa. So it's for anyone of spectacular talent, which means athletes, singers, any type of artist, crazy, talented, like certain scientists will have this visa. To my knowledge, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it's all of those people. So they base you off of 6 different things. You have to prove at least 3 of them. So one is money. How much money do you make every year off of your, not, working your side job? How much do you make off of your artwork?
They want to make sure that you're not going to have to be supported by the state.
Exactly. Another one is, for example, awards. So they, in their examples, will give like a Grammy or an Emmy or an Oscar.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, oh, yes, I have a couple of those back home. So that's kind of the caliber of what they're asking.
Yeah.
So people like Justin Bieber, Shawn Mendes probably had my visa when they first got there. So I'm competing with people like that.
Yeah.
But dancers are never, you have to prove that you're a lead. Dancers are very rarely a lead in most.
So what year is this when you're applying for the visa for the first time?
The first time I applied was 2017.
2015.
17.
17.
Yeah.
Okay.
I visited there the first time in 2015, but it
Okay.
took me about 2 years to get everything together.
Now, I understand that a lawyer gave you some advice. That does happen.
Yeah.
And tell us about that advice. 'Cause
Yeah,
think
so
it's
I was
fascinating.
denied my visa in 2017, and I was really like, what am I going to do? Like, I feel like I've tried my best, I really gave it my all, and I'm denied.
Yeah.
And I'm out of money. Like, how do I do this? And the lawyer was like, well, have you ever thought about moving to London, in the UK? And I was like, no, I want to be in LA. And he was like, well, you've done a lot of work in Canada, but there's a lot of what I do mostly is artist work, so music videos and award shows. And he was like, there's a lot of work in London. And I think if you went there, you can get bigger, more, I don't want to say more legit jobs, but just there's more opportunity in London for artist work.
And build your resume to come back and
Exactly,
apply?
yeah, especially with different artists, different choreographers,
Right.
especially if you look like you're an international
Yeah.
dancer, that's a good point. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, and 3 weeks later I was living in London. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Now, while you were in London, you did some really interesting things. We have some pictures that I hope you might describe to
Yeah.
us. So where are we here?
Yeah, that was on X Factor. It was one of their, I don't think it was a season finale, but it was in kind of their last couple weeks of the show in, I think that's 2018. And I was dancing for the cast of The Greatest Showman. They were kind of the guest performers. So with the woman who played the bearded lady, we were dancing alongside her. This is me. So yeah, it was really fun.
And this one.
Yeah, that is on Britain's Got Talent. Again, the guest performer was Rita Ora.
She's a big deal in Britain.
Yeah,
She's huge.
she's
Everywhere.
huge. Yeah, especially in the UK. She's really big, and so yeah, that was actually my first job that I booked in London.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so all of those people would have gone to an audition.
This one was direct book, actually,
Oh.
so I didn't have to audition.
Wow.
Which I was surprised as my first job that they were like, "Yep, we'll take her." So yeah, I didn't actually have to do anything. I just checked my email, and they were like, "Hey, are you available for this?" And I said, "Absolutely." And 3 days later, we
So
were
you
rehearsing.
assumed it would always be that way, right?
Yeah. And then it wasn't like that ever.
No.
No.
How about this one?
That is the Brit Awards in 2019. That was my last job before I moved away, but that was with Little Mix, and that was with a really big choreographer. So that one was probably like the most fulfilling job that I had done
And
in
that
a really
would
long time.
look good on your resume when you're applying
Yeah,
for
for sure.
the US.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, I guess we're a little out of order because I think this is 2018.
Yep, that's 2018. That is the European Music Awards. We filmed, that was located in Bilbao, Spain. So I actually flew to audition for that. I flew to Barcelona,
Yeah.
and I auditioned. And then, I booked it. So then a week later, I flew back to Bilbao, Spain.
To do the
to
show.
do the show, yeah.
Now, how do you know to audition in Barcelona when you're in London? Like, is this something your agent does, or? do you read it in the
Obviously, my
newspaper?
agent wasn't like, "Hey, I have an audition for you in Barcelona," but they had said, they're auditioning in Barcelona, so they're probably going to hire people from that. And my gut is pretty much always right, and my gut was just saying, you should fly to Barcelona tomorrow, and so I flew
That's
to
pretty
Barcelona the next day. Yeah, yeah.
Now, I'm interested in the last picture, or the second last picture, I guess. There were a lot of other dancers there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get to know, like, do you run into the same dancers at different gigs? Are you?
Yeah, it's a pretty small community. Like it's either people that I know friends of, or I've worked with them before, or I've taken their class, or we've met in class
Yeah.
before. So a lot of them, yes, but almost every job I find like new people that I've never met before.
Right.
So yeah, it's sometimes yes, sometimes no. But
Now, while you were in Europe, you also did some traveling. Where did you get to?
yeah, I traveled a lot to Italy. I also taught in Spain quite often. I would go there almost every year. And I did a little tour in Spain to teach, and then I taught in Scotland, and then I did some like leisure travel as well.
And how do you get the teaching jobs?
So I taught in London just by going to the studios and saying, "Hey, if you ever need a teacher, let me know," and they'd reach out. That studio that I taught at in London was quite popular, so when I kind of met people from Spain, they would be like, "Oh, well, if you ever want to teach, there's a studio out there," and so then you get connected that way. Then once I was at one place in Spain, other places were like, "Well, you're already here. Would you fly just
Yeah.
next city over and come to us?" I was sure.
that's great.
So, yeah.
Now, does that help with the visa, having taught in Europe?
It can. Again, they want to see that you're like a lead in something major. So teaching at studios isn't always major, but it does show that you are a leader in the community that you're teaching. So it does definitely help.
And you're dedicated to your art.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, while you were doing this, you were always centered in London.
Yes.
So what's it like to, where were you living in London?
I was living right in Zone 1. So right in the middle. If you don't know, London's like a bullseye.
Yeah.
So zone 1 is right in the center,
Yeah.
and then it gets spread out a little bit after that. So I walked pretty much everywhere, which everyone thought I was crazy for, but I was right in the middle. Yeah, I lived in the same little apartment with a couple of my friends, and
Were you near the Thames?
yeah, I was about like a 5-minute south.
Yeah,
I was in
okay.
Southwark. Yeah.
And what's it like living in London?
It is crazy. A lot of people, drinking is very casual, so no one really goes for like a coffee. They'll be like, as soon as it hits 11:30, they're like, should we go for a drink? Okay, sure. So there was,
In the morning?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, lunch hour, everyone orders a drink with lunch. It's a drinking heavy city, but the culture and the city is beautiful, and the people I met there it was such probably the best 2 years of my life, to be honest.
That drinking stuff wouldn't apply to fitness guys like you and me.
yeah. Water only.
Yeah.
Cheers. Water only.
Cheers. So we're in London now. How do we get back to LA?
Yeah, my visa was good for 2 years in London, and I was coming up to the end of my visa, and I was like, do I apply again to LA, drop another close to $10,000 and see what happens? Or do I apply for my UK visa, which is an artist visa, and it's easier to get, it's not as expensive, and there's not as many restrictions on it. So I was, going back and forth, and once again, my gut was like, I think you should just do LA. Also, I met with a new lawyer. Her name's Rachel. She's still my lawyer today, and she was just so encouraging. She was like, well, where do you want to be? I said LA. She was like, well, then why aren't we doing that? And I was like, all right, let's go. And so I applied, and 4 months later, I was approved. So
Great. Now, what year would that be?
that was 2019 in
Okay.
the summer.
And did you get any jobs right off the bat?
Well, I moved there 6 months before a lovely pandemic. So that
Good
was lucky.
planning.
Yeah. I was just kind of getting in the swing of things before the pandemic hit, so I booked kind of one big job, I would say, and then probably 3 weeks later.
So what was the impact of the pandemic in LA on the performing arts?
It pretty much went to zero. There was nothing. There's a couple people that were lucky that some artists were able to manage little things, especially what I do is artist work. So again, I'm kind of more of a particular part of dance, but
Now, we should define what artist work is, because
Yes.
people will think you're sitting at an easel drawing.
right. So artist work is working with a music artist. So music videos, award shows, live performances, tours, etc. Versus you could do TV and film, or you could do commercials.
Right.
So I dabble a little bit in the other two, but mostly if I work with music
So you're
artists.
backing up some big name.
Yeah.
When we see dancers either behind or dancing with an artist.
Yeah,
That
correct.
would be you, is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So what do you do? How long did it take for you to get back?
Yeah, well, the pandemic was pretty quiet for about a year. And then I was pretty lucky once things started to pick back up again in the winter of 2021. I was hired for a couple jobs. One of them was a music video for Ricky Martin. And that was kind of one of my first jobs back. And it was a really good experience. And then I just kind of kept going, thankfully, after that.
Is it this Ricky Martin?
Yes, that would be him. So, yeah, I obviously got nice and close with Mr. Martin. and
I'd
That's
say
not
so,
6 feet.
yeah.
yeah, it's not 6 feet, yeah. Yeah, but it was a really good experience.
Yeah. No.
It's hard to keep up, isn't it?
Yeah.
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 So how many of this kind of thing would you do? Like that seems like a pretty big
Yeah.
job to me.
It is a big job, although it was about 4 days. So we did
Okay.
2 rehearsals, 3 days, sorry.
Yeah.
2 rehearsals and a shoot day.
Wow.
And that's it. So, yeah, it's not long, so I could potentially do 10 of those in a month if I was booked every single day. But
So would performing with someone like Ricky Martin open doors for you?
yeah, for sure. I think putting that in my reel or having people post that or share that,
Yeah.
especially obviously I was dancing like with him, so I was featured a lot, which was nice.
That picture might have shown up occasionally on your social media?
Yes, just a little bit. It's definitely plugged in there quite a bit, actually. So, yeah, so a lot of people would see that and be like, oh, she was trusted to dance with the artist, which means
Yeah,
she might,
yeah.
be
Yeah, that's great.
worthwhile, hopefully, of booking on the next one.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
So how do you choose the jobs?
Yeah, most of the time the jobs choose me. My agents will be like, this is what you want, da da da. But there's a lot of things, especially with auditions. You can get a lot of auditions in a week, month, day sometimes. And I think just knowing your brand as an artist, which takes time. But for me, for example, there's a lot of Disney young type TV shows or where they hire a lot of dancers. And for me, just being bald with tattoos and the brand that I've created for myself is a little bit more of a mature type artist with more of a hip hop, a little bit of an edgier look, which doesn't do the best with Disney type or children type shows. So for me, when I see auditions with that, I know that doesn't really fit my brand, so I'm not gonna audition.
So you kind of have to pick the audience and then be consistent in terms of the jobs that you choose so that there's no confusion as to who you are and what you do.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you break through the crowd? I'm sure there's more than you trying to get dance jobs in LA.
Yeah, of course. It's a really tricky thing because you always have to be this overconfident in yourself type person when the reality is you're not always. But again, as you get older, you just know who you are and you know your worth and you know, no, that job's for me and I'm gonna fight and this is what I'm gonna do. Where sometimes it doesn't always happen, but to be smart, I think it's show business. You have to know the business. You have to think smart. You have to look around the room. Who are you competing against? It sucks to always compare yourself to others, but you do have to do that and be like, all right, well, there's another person with short blonde hair in the room. How are they dancing? How do I stand out? So it's a bit of an equation.
So when there's an audition, how do you separate yourself from the crowd? How do you not look like every other dancer who did the splits and a pirouette?
Yeah, well, I always bring multiple outfit changes in my bag. So if I show up and I look too similar to someone, I change. Or if I'm not feeling it, I'm wearing bright colors and no one else is. Depending on the job, sometimes you want to blend in because they're hiring an ensemble and they don't want one person to just randomly do their own things. Sometimes they want to hire individuals as well and stars in their own way. So I think, again, knowing the business, knowing your crowd, knowing the brand that you're trying to work for is really important. And it is, a lot of people think dance is a glorified hobby that I just show up and have fun and get paid for it. It's a business. You got to know your stuff. You have to think smart. And you have to be professional. You have to know how to handle yourself, how to market yourself, how to network. So, yeah.
And I suppose you have to kind of adapt to the role that you're to play.
Yep.
The Ricky Martins of this world don't want you stealing the show.
Exactly. Yeah, I was lucky with him. He was very, I was nervous to dance with the artist. This was kind of my first experience being like partnered with an artist, just myself. And I was like, well, what if I scratch him like with my nail? Or what if I, turn his chair too quickly and he gets dizzy? Like, you never know with artists how they're gonna act. And he was the coolest person. I probably could have done a backflip into the splits and he would have been like, yeah! And like, it would have been fine. So I was like, all right. And he was so nice, so chill. And I was like, oh, thank God. And it was really fun. At first I was really nervous. And then by the end of it, I was like, oh, this guy's really cool.
Is that normal?
No.
Okay. So not every artist is chill?
Absolutely not. There's some. Actually, I've been lucky with a lot of them. But artists, I think, understandably, have worked in the industry quite often. They want things a certain way. They know how they look good, what side they want. Don't touch their hair. There's a lot of things which, again, they've been in the business usually a long time, so they know what they're talking about. But it's hard as a dancer to try and do your job and keep in mind what they want. But I was lucky with Ricky.
I certainly don't have the experience that you have, but my observation from people that I have met is that the further up the pole they go, the nicer they are to deal with, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
The more established and successful the artist, the less ego that they exhibit.
Yep. I never worked with this artist, but I would see him often, Harry Styles, and he is a very kind person, and he's obviously extremely famous.
Yeah.
The nicest person, walked into a room and didn't demand anything. They'd be like, oh, my bad, or really sweet. And then there was another artist that would come in, and she was younger. I obviously won't say who they are, but big attitude, and it was just very like newer artist, and it was just funny to see the difference of
Yeah.
if Harry could be
Interesting.
sweet, then yeah.
You also do commercials, and I think we have a picture. That's a commercial shoot?
Yes, that was for a Pepsi commercial. That was my first commercial I did a year ago. We were probably filming almost to the day a year ago. It was around this time. Pepsi with Doja Cat was the artist featured in the Pepsi commercial, and this was just like a big career job for me. It was choreographer, was best of the best, director, best of the best, artist, best of the best, and Pepsi. You can't get a bigger.
And were you alone, or were you part of a...
We had quite a few
crew?
dancers. I think there was maybe like 25, 30 dancers
Okay.
total. And then, then we did a TikTok for Pepsi where there was 3 of us, so me along 2 other guys
good.
that we were featured, which was a really stressful part of the job, but it was very fulfilling. It was an awesome experience.
And you also do music videos.
Yes.
How long does it take to shoot a 3-minute music video?
In my experience, they're one-day shoot days. Yeah, I think all of mine have been one-day shoot days, but they're long. A shoot day is typically 12 hours. I don't think I've ever had one finish in 12 hours. It's been 13, 14, up to 20 hours straight of a shoot day.
Do you
Dancing.
ever resent the attention that the artist gets when you're more talented than they are?
I think it's funny that sometimes the dancers have a week of rehearsal when really we could get it done in 2 days.
Yeah.
And the artist comes in for one rehearsal when we're like, it could actually probably be flipped, that you stay for the week and practice, and then we come in for the day and we jump in and we can adapt really quickly. But no, I think it's also a lot of pressure to be the face of the whole performance,
Yeah,
and where
yeah.
we don't have as much pressure as the artist does, so I don't think I would change roles by any means. So.
There's a documentary called 20 Feet from Fame. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
So it's about backup bands, backup musicians, backup dancers. It's the people who stand behind the artist, many of whom are much more talented than the artist. I mean, there are many artists that if they didn't have people singing behind them and, carrying the tune behind them, they wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
So I'm always fascinated by what you're thinking when you're behind an artist, that you don't need to rehearse, you can do it, but the
Right.
artist needs a lot of help.
Yeah, I mean, also a lot of the times the artists aren't dancers themselves, so it's a lot for them to take on. But yeah, some of the background vocalists that I've met with the artists, I'm like, whoa, they can sing.
Yeah, they're great.
They're talented.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really great.
Yeah, and they're not just performing with that artist.
Right.
The next day they're doing even a different kind of music. So
Totally,
so
yeah.
talented. Award shows. What's it mean to do an award show? And I think we have a picture of one here.
Yes, that is the Grammys. That was
The
this
Grammys.
year,
Well, look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, I did the Grammys this year with an artist called JBalvin, which was a crazy experience. It's funny because we downplayed this so much, my friend and I, booking this job. We were like, okay, yeah, we'll do this. Just logistically, it had a lot of details that we were putting together. And it wasn't until after that we performed that I was like, Allie, you just did the Grammys, and you didn't really give yourself any credit for that. Like, it was just kind of like another day, and I was like, okay, that's wild that was just
And that's
another
fairly
day.
recently, isn't it?
Sorry?
Was this not recent?
Yeah, that was April of this year.
April, yeah.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, thanks.
So you live in L.A.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you live in L.A.?
I live in the Valley. I'm a Valley girl now.
Do you talk like a Valley girl?
Someone told me recently, they were like, you almost have like a Valley girl accent, and I've never wanted to rip my vocal cords out faster. I was like, oh God. So if you don't know what a Valley girl accent is, it's just the worst. It's terrible. So yeah, I hope I never sound like a Valley girl, but.
That's where the expression "gag me with a spoon" came from, isn't it? The Valley girl? So, what's the community like you live in? Is it a commercial community? Is it an industrial community? What's
Yeah,
going
it's
on
actually
there?
very residential, but it being LA, there'll be like Warner Brothers studio on the corner. So, but it's a lot of houses, cute little streets, and cute little cafes, restaurants. It's not tall buildings or anything. Not crazy busy streets. Lots of highways and traffic, as LA is.
LA, nothing but.
But yeah, it's a very creative area that I live in. A lot of dancers, a lot of other artists and stuff.
So, do you hang out with people in the same industry then?
Yeah, most of my friends are dancers or used to be dancers.
What's the energy level like in a creative community like that?
It's hard to keep up with sometimes. Everyone is hustling. Artists are, like, in my opinion, the hardest working people in the world. They have to hustle. They have to figure it out for themselves. And so the people that I hang around with are really hard workers. And yeah, that's kind of the vibe. I feel like it's a lot of hustling.
Good.
Yeah.
Jed, if I do the arithmetic right, you would have graduated in about 2019,
Yes.
just before the pandemic.
Right.
Just to continue the theme we were talking about.
Yes.
So what did you want to do after graduation?
After graduation, I wasn't too sure of what I wanted to do, actually. You know, I was thinking about, do I take like the normal kinesiology route, go like physiotherapy, chiropractic, osteo, like that kind of stuff. But then I said, you know, I don't think I want to dive into that right now. Let me just see what else I can do. I really loved fitness as well, so I said, let me get my personal training certificate. Let's try to do some work in the gyms. So that's what I started to do right after I graduated. I was also just working hospitality at the time. So I did both until the pandemic hit and both industries got shut down. Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
So how did you survive during that time?
Sir, like, who's with me, you know?
Yeah.
Seems to be some people related.
Yeah. But no, seriously though, that's literally what I had to do because both my industries were down.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just started looking for other ways to fill my time, and that's when I kind of turned to the social media side of things, and that's when that kind of took off for me, was in 2020.
Did you work with an agency to get into that?
Yeah, so initially I just, you know, I heard about TikTok, and I was like, okay, let me see what this is. You know, my brother was on it. I'm like, that's kind of stupid. And then I made a couple of videos, and they got a little popular, and I was like, okay, this is kind of fun. Like, you know,
I have an audience.
You
This
know,
is fun.
you know about it. I've seen you on there.
TikTok, yeah.
But no, so I started making a bunch of videos because I had nothing else to do, right? So I just started making them consistently, and a couple, you know, went viral. Like a couple got a couple million views.
Wow.
So yeah, I started really running up.
Is that 2 million different people or 20 people watching it 2,000 times?
I don't know. It depends if the shirt was on or off, you know? A couple of ladies in the back watched it a couple 100,000 times. But no, so I just started making videos like the whole year, and then I was like, wow, I kind of enjoy this. And then around the fall, my good friend was an agent, and he said, hey, like, would you ever be interested in doing modeling?
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, yeah, like, why not? Like, there's nothing else going on. So he hooked me up with a couple agencies. I had some interviews, and then I decided to sign with my current agency, and went from there.
And what services does that agency offer you?
So they basically are like the liaison between me and the clients, the brands, all the partnerships and the deals that I do. Sometimes brands come directly to me, and I'll just pass them off to my agents just because they can handle all the rates and all the communication. I don't love talking directly to the client because I find that sometimes, you know, they may try to take advantage of you. So I just let my agents do that. They just send me the contracts, the briefs, and I just sign the line and provide the content or just show up to the shoot, etc.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I want to talk about modeling for a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Are you holding up a pole or are you modeling there?
No, I'm just modeling there, yeah.
Is this early on?
This was actually just early this year, I think, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess what I want to know is, what's a day, and I am serious about this, what's a day like in the life of a model? You know, this show's called A Day in the Life, so what's a day like in a model's world?
You don't know? Look at you. No, I'm kidding.
I told these guys that knowing that I was going to be on a stage with them, I was going to wear the most boring clothes I had in the hope that I would just fade into the furniture.
No, you're not hiding. So yeah, a day in the life of a model, it's You have a lot of free days, like as Ali would know. Like you don't work every day. Like it's not like a 9 to 5 kind of job.
Yeah.
It's very sporadic. You get some, you don't. So yeah, sometimes you'll have a span of days where you get a lot of jobs booked. Other days you won't have anything booked for like 2 weeks. The days that you are on set, you may be on set for 12 to 15 to 16 hours.
Yeah.
So yeah,
You paid by the hour or by the show?
A lot of the times they pay you just like based on the job.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it won't be like hourly. It'll just be like this job, this amount.
I want to talk to you about the products that you model for.
Yeah.
And I understand that you do some athletic modeling.
Yes, for sure.
Well, that looks easy.
That's how we were warming up backstage.
Yeah.
Eye of the Tiger was on. That hyped me up.
Jed asked me whether I could do that. And I said, yes, if a crane lowered me to about 3 feet off the floor and let go. So what were you modeling for here? And why didn't you have your shirt on?
Yeah. Well, Fred, think about me. I'd never have a shirt on unless I have to. But this one specifically was for just a Hoka brand. It's called Hoka.
Okay.
It's a running brand. And this was just an event that they put on in Toronto for a bunch of like influencer type people. And yeah, it was just like a big event to promote their new shoe line. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
And you also promoted a fitness app. I think you were on set for that here.
Yes. So this is Fit Track, which is like a weight scale, and it measures a bunch of different metrics of your body composition, etc.
Yeah.
And yeah, they came out with a brand new app.
Why would anybody want to know that?
I don't know. Fitness guys like us. Right?
Yeah, fitness guys like us, right? Yeah, now I remember.
Yeah, we want to know. But yeah, they came out with like a fitness app, and they needed trainers to be like the face of the app. There's a bunch of workouts on there. So if you guys, I'm not plugging the app actually. No, we're not on contract anymore. But yeah, I'm the one leading the workouts. I'm the one speaking to you when you're going on your runs.
Right.
Motivating you.
Right. Okay.
Playing Eye of the Tiger. You know, I'm the one.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Did you have a role in creating the app, or were you really just the face of the app?
I was just the face of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So we showed up for 2 days, and it was like literally 16-hour days, both days.
Yeah.
And then I also had to put in about 24 hours in a recording booth.
Yeah.
To voice over everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You did some work for Sport Check.
Yes. Yeah. So this was one of my better partnerships, I would say. I was really excited about this one because I just love Sport Check. Growing up as an athlete, I was always at Sport Check.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was great. This was a holiday gift guide type of partnership. So it was all through last November and December.
Yeah.
And it was basically just me helping promote their items around the holidays, why they're such good gifts to give for Christmas.
Yeah.
And
Good.
yeah, we had full days of photo shoots like this.
So is this a catalog, or is this you as an influencer?
This is me, I would say catalog, because this was like on the website,
Yeah.
all on their socials,
Yeah.
on my socials. So yeah, this was,
Okay.
yeah, it was a bit of a mix.
And they had a special campaign that you were involved with.
Yes, so this was just released a couple months ago. This is called Forward with Design. It's a brand underneath of Sport Check, another athleisure type brand. And yeah, they had a cool shoot at Porter Airport.
Right.
And we were in the hangar. We had helicopters, cars, mopeds, skateboards, scooters, everything was just branded.
Wow.
And we did a cool video and promo for that, so that was a really fun one.
Aldo Shoes. This is you're on set here, are you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was in Montreal. Yeah, sometimes you get flown out to different places to shoot, right?
Sure.
Which I'm not a huge fan of because I'm scared of flying. So I was like, don't book that. But yeah, I was like, give me all those shoes, I'll walk. But yeah, so we had this campaign for these new boots. I actually posted this picture prematurely. I got in a lot of trouble for it because yeah, the shoes weren't out yet. And I posted it.
Oh.
Because I'm like, look at my haircut there, you know? So I was like, oh, I tried to post it, and they're like, no, you can't post it. The shoes aren't out.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, no, this is our days on set. It's really fun.
Now this is a picture of a catalog that you were in.
Yes. So a lot of people here will be familiar with Giant Tiger. I think it's one of the main attractions in Midland. So
TripAdvisor has it as number 3 this week.
yeah. So obviously I was super excited to be partnered with Giant Tiger. I've done a bunch of shoots with them.
Yeah, good.
This one was actually in, as you can see there, it's in Cape Breton.
Oh, yeah.
So the stamp.
Yeah.
So Giant Tiger is nationwide.
Yeah.
Yeah. So someone actually, one of my followers sent me this picture from out in Cape Breton and said, look, it's you.
Yeah,
That's
cool.
Buy that shirt.
Now, this is kind of out of order, but I understand that you did some early modeling for your next door neighbor as you were growing up.
Yes.
Is this
Yes.
Amy Goldman has a brand called
Better Threads, yes.
Better Threads?
Yes. So yeah, growing up on Victoria Street, we were neighbors with the Gomans.
Yeah.
And yeah, like obviously Amy is quite older than me, quite a bit older than me, but she reached
She'll
out.
be happy to hear you say
Yeah,
that.
well, she looks great. All right, add that in. But no, she grew up beside us, and it was kind of just like a full circle thing. She came out with this brand called Better Threads, all sourced in Canada, really nice material, and she's just looking for models to help her promote the brand. And I was like, oh, of course, like. You had to put up with my dad playing music all night, so I'll do a little free shoot for you. How about that?
Now, some of the people here will know you from a television show that you were involved in,
Yeah.
Big Brother.
Yes.
Can you tell us, there's 2 people here who don't know the premise of the show, so maybe you could explain it.
Yeah. Basically, it's psychological warfare. No, it is. But no, it's basically just a bunch of strangers getting locked in a house, and you complete weekly challenges for power, and then each week, someone's voted out. And it's all about, manipulation, strategy, lying.
So it's kind of like living in a family.
Yes, yeah, 100%. 100%. But yeah, so that's what it is, and then it just comes down to one winner.
And what role did you play?
I would
Play yourself?
Yeah, I definitely just played myself, like to a fault, I'd say. Just like a nice, loyal guy. Like that's basically what I was.
Yeah.
And yeah, it kind of ended up like hurting me in the end. But
What was the outcome?
well, I didn't win, Fred.
Now, yeah, you'll be happy.
You're really like,
Make him say it.
like make me say it. Like, I know you watch the feeds.
You'll be happy to know that I do have a picture of you as you're leaving the set. Whoops.
Oh.
Wait. Where'd it go?
It was pretty close, honestly.
Oh, there.
Literally, that's where you just stabbed me in my heart right there. See? I'm doing it.
Yeah. You were practicing for this show.
Yeah. 100%, yeah. Yeah, that was my day.
But I didn't mean to, because it was a big step in your career.
Right, yeah, definitely.
Tell us about that.
Definitely. I think, when the pandemic hit and everything, I told you I was doing social media.
Yeah.
And I had gained a bit of a following. And I think that may have been how the producers of Big Brother kind of found me and everything like that. So it definitely helped. And then getting on a TV show like that, it just kind of catapults your career if you're into that social media, TV, modeling, that kind of stuff. Especially if you're coming off as a good person, which I am, and I did. So it did help. It did help me just because it puts a lot more eyes on you.
Did you get more modeling jobs because of that appearance?
Yeah, like I don't know if it was because of that or if because I just like incrementally got better looking, but I don't know what it was really, but I started booking all these jobs. Yeah. And
Probably is your humility that I'm
Yeah. Well, like Ali said, you got to be confident in this industry, right? Like you have to.
Right.
You have
To an extent.
To it, yeah. Okay. Okay. Holy. Yeah. But no, it definitely helped. Having more eyes on you, it helps you in your career for sure. So
Good.
I'm grateful for it.
Now, we mentioned briefly that you're engaged in brands.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I think this is one of the. Is that the same suit?
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
It actually is the same
Those
suit.
are nice threads.
Yeah.
That's great.
You know, guys can rewear things, all right? Like girls can, but guys can. We
No,
definitely
that's
can.
a great suit. And this was just after Big Brother, wasn't it?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So we were talking earlier about brands, and I used the word influencer, which I know is maybe not very popular. But you are one of those people who others look to for guidance in buying decisions. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Yeah.
And how do people find out what you think, what you'd like to recommend to them?
A lot of it's through the partnerships themselves. So if I partner with this suit, this suit brand, I'm obviously going to create content about it, make videos, pictures, and then just kind of give my opinion on it.
Yes.
And then when you have like a decent following, people see that, and that may influence their decision to purchase something.
Now, there are different tiers of influencers, as I understand it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's some people who have tens of millions of followers.
Right.
Are you one of those?
No, unfortunately not.
Soon.
Not yet.
Not yet.
We're on the ascension.
So, how does somebody who doesn't have 10 million followers make a difference?
These days it's actually a lot more popular for brands to want to use micro-influencers, that they're called,
Okay. Yeah.
because they would rather pay a smaller sum to a bunch of micro-influencers than a large sum to one
Right.
major influencer.
Right.
So they actually find that you get more outreach when you have a bunch of people with like maybe a couple tens of thousands of followers, rather than trying to just pay one person with one niche
Right.
that has 1 million followers, but it may not get to as many people.
And there's a risk putting all your eggs in one basket. If
Yes.
that person does something that the public doesn't like, their opinion isn't worth much. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, I understand. Who picks the brands that you support?
A lot of the times the brands will come to me. They reach out to me, they email me, or they'll go through my agency. And we kind of just pick and choose which brands we like to work with. Just as Allie said, like you have a bit of a niche. You don't want to go against that. So there's certain brands that I wouldn't work with just because like I don't support either their message or their product.
Yeah.
So it's pick and choose.
And I suppose it's a bit like what Allie said, that Allie said she had to be consistent to her brand, and if she's sort of tries to be all things to everybody, she's nothing to anybody. In your case, if you are seen to be promoting a brand which is not healthy, for example, and with your commitment to fitness, that would deteriorate the value of your brand for another.
Absolutely, yeah. It's all
Okay.
about being genuine, being authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you also have a new position, as I understand it, with my favorite sports team in the whole world. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so this year I was fortunate enough to get an opportunity to interview for a job with the Raptors. So same as me, I've been growing up watching the Raptors my whole life, so I was very excited about this. And there was a friend of a friend that was looking for someone to fill this role, and it was basically someone that is going to handle their parts of their social media and also just passionate about basketball. So I was literally like, that's me. So I interviewed for it, and it worked out, and I got the job. So yeah, I basically run the TikTok pages for the Raptors, and I get to go to all the games and get all this content from them, and yeah, it's really
And
good.
you,
It's fun.
so, are you? Is it just your written word, or are you the face of the TikTok page, or?
Yeah, so they were definitely looking for someone that could be on the camera because
Yeah.
it's just more authentic and the fans feel like they're more engaged.
Yeah.
So they didn't have anyone like that. That's another reason why they were trying to find somebody. So yeah, I've done a bunch of videos where I'm in the streets interviewing people. Like my face is on the camera. I voice over a lot of videos. So they kind of want people to be able to relate a face with the
Identify,
brand,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
This is who?
Yeah, so this is me with my team. This is my social media team for the Raptors. And this is just after one of the games. And yeah, all these guys work on the digital communications team. My guy Tristan in the middle, he travels with the team. So he's constantly with them. He's in the locker room and he does everything, so.
Does he sometimes have a microphone on the floor? Is he?
Him?
Yeah.
No, that's not him.
It's
But
not
I know
him,
who you're talking
okay.
about. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not him. No,
This guy looks like him. Yeah.
he's taking videos and pictures the whole
yeah.
game, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you bring to the Raptors that they were looking for?
I mean,
Seriously.
an amazing personality.
Yeah. And humility, as we said before, Allie, right? Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. But when they were looking for, first of all, they were looking for a person of color to fill this role.
Yes.
That was literally something that they wrote on the job listing. So I think they were looking to really diversify the group,
Yeah.
which was nice. And they just looked for someone with personality, someone that can speak to the camera, someone that can go out in the middle of the street and interview people and hold a conversation. So that's what they wanted, and they just needed like that confidence and someone that was good at working with the social media apps.
And the Raptors is such a diverse audience. We talked about this. How many of you have been to a Raptors game? I mean, it is the most diverse audience. I was telling Jed that I was at a playoff game probably 7 years ago. I was sitting in the third row. There were 20 people in my section, and I was the only white person in my section.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that just speaks wonderful things about the way the Raptors have marketed themselves to Canada.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I'm excited that you're part of that.
Yeah.
So you run the TikTok page, you promote the team to the audience, and you get to see games,
Yes. Yep.
and you get to meet one of Canada's great personalities.
Yes. Yes.
Is he as much fun as he seems to be?
Yes, he is. And you know what? I really forgot that the Raptor was like a human because, I'm serious. Before we did this, but this was like for a giveaway video for Drake's seats. We were giving them away. That's why we're sitting in Drake's seats right there.
Yeah.
Before we did the video, before he was dressed up, he was like standing there and we were all discussing the video.
Yeah.
And I was like, who is this guy? I was like, who's this old guy? And they're like, that's the Raptor. And I was like, oh, like he doesn't wear his thing all the time? Okay. So, yeah.
He has been doing that for 27 years.
Yeah, I can't believe it.
He's an amazing athlete.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And he controls the crowd. He does a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And are you playing any basketball?
Yes. I'm still winning. Yeah, I still play to this day, honestly, like a lot. I honestly think I'm better than I used to be. So,
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So yeah, I try to get out and play a lot. At the end of the day, it's just like a social sport. Like you can go to any court in Toronto and just start playing and you'll meet like 10, 20 friends.
Yeah.
So I just love to play for that aspect. And it's something I did my whole life, so.
So what's your vertical?
Mine?
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably higher than yours because white man can't jump, right? That's what you said?
I would say mine's about 4 inches
Okay.
on a good day. Yeah.
Okay.
What's yours?
So you can jump on a curve?
37?
Yeah, maybe like 37.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to train more.
Yeah.
Okay, Allie, what's the future hold for you?
Well, I have no idea. Life of an artist. I don't know what I'm doing next week, let alone in the future, but I aspire to book a tour. That's kind of my next thing that I hope to do. I want to do world tours, hopefully multiple with a bunch of different artists. That's a big dream. I also just recently founded a nonprofit, so I'm working
Now
really
tell
hard
us
on
what touring with an artist means.
that. Basically, you go on the road with them. So you live life on the road. You're in either tour bus or flying country to country. You'll rehearse for a couple months, and then you go for anywhere from a couple, like maybe 3 months to 2 years sometimes.
So if an artist is doing a 50-city tour, you would be traveling with them and appearing night after night after night with them, doing the same
Same
thing.
show over and
Yeah,
over again.
over and over.
Yeah, 50 times.
Does that appeal?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm one of the crazy ones that I'm like, I want a hard show. I want a show that you walk off and you're like, I can barely breathe.
Yeah.
I want to do that once, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe if I live it twice, but I know it's hard, but I'm like, I just want to experience like that feeling.
What kind of a buzz do you get from being around creative people?
Yeah, I feel like it's always very inspiring to hear other people. I think, especially like now that I'm at my age, people chose what they want to do because they're passionate about it. So anytime people talk about their creative like aspirations, for me, I'm like, oh, you love doing that. That's something that your soul speaks. Like you want to do that. So for me, it's really, really inspiring. Sometimes it can be a lot. Sometimes I feel like I'm not doing enough, but usually very inspiring.
You mentioned early on, or you alluded to the fact early on, that you're good with the business side of this. Just explain to us a little more what that means.
Yeah, well, with dance, you're an entrepreneur. So invoicing, networking, marketing, all of these things are really important. But just professionalism in general. So I am always on time. I'm almost embarrassingly early for everything. I'll be like 45 minutes early for coffee with myself. Like I'm just there, stressed, but I'm there. I'm really good just with communicating. I feel like I'm good at writing my emails, communicating. A lot of the time there's last minute scheduling issues. There's, conflicts with scheduling. So I'm really good at explaining, hi, this is what's going on. This is why. I let you know as soon as possible. I just know my stuff. That's one thing that I might not be the best dancer in the room, but I will be the hardest working every time.
Your enthusiasm is infectious. I know your friends probably know that, but I would get an email from you, and I'd be really excited about doing the show because you were so excited about doing it.
Maybe a little too many exclamation points.
No, it's great.
Thanks.
Now, what about the creative side of dance? What about the choreography? Does that appeal to you?
Not as much as I feel like most people. I feel like a lot of people start as a dancer and then maybe venture into choreography. I think one thing that I really want to do and that I think I'd be really good with is assistant choreography.
Right.
So assistant to the choreographer, which is actually often a harder job just because there's a lot of moving parts that you have to know.
Right.
I have to know dancer choreography, artist choreography, background vocals choreography, lighting. Okay, that's not going to work. Stage design. You have to know all of those things.
Yeah.
And then when the choreographer's not there, you step in and you have to do all those things. So I think for me, it's a really hard job, but again, I like to work hard, so that would be something I would like to do.
Now, I don't want to end our program before talking about the not-for-profit you started. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so we just launched this July, so we're just over a month old now. We're called Brass Ring Dance. We are a nonprofit for children and youth in dance in rural towns. We provide financial support, so dance is extremely expensive. It can be anywhere from $500 to $3,000 a year for one dancer.
Yeah.
So we provide financial support. We host workshops and seminars at donation-based, so if you can't afford the whole year of dance, there's still opportunity for you to come, dance, learn from great people. Seminars, we had our first event yesterday. Our seminar was about disordered eating, dance, and recovery. Helping children have healthy relationships with their bodies is really important for dance.
Yep.
And then we also do cultural and structural change and advocacy. So that kind of goes hand in hand with our workshop, but we work alongside studios and parents and caregivers to do that as well.
And are you involved with any local studios?
Yeah, so we're based in Midland at the moment. We hope to grow to all rural towns of Ontario, maybe Canada one day. But we started in Midland. Our event yesterday was at both of the local studios, at the Dancer Studio and then Georgia Bay School of Dance.
Great,
Yeah.
great. Well, good for you. I commend you for that initiative. I think
Thank you so much.
That's very special. Jed, what's the future hold for you?
Yeah, same lane as Allie. You don't really know when you're in this industry, but for me, I think my main goal is to stop working for brands and to become the brand. I think that's always been like my big thing.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just me growing my brand, continuing to network within the industry. I'm hoping to branch into more TV stuff, so I'm trying to get into the acting world within the next year, as well as TV hosting and stuff like that.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm in the running for a couple of those right now.
Good.
So yeah, hopefully I can.
Can we ask you what kind of TV shows? You're
No.
going to replace Lisa LaFlamme?
I don't want to jinx it because I'm still on the way. So
Okay.
yeah, just I might be on there pretty soon. So
Great.
hopefully that works out, and yeah, continue to do that, and hopefully continue to inspire people through my fitness.
You
and my
mentioned
motivation.
life coaching as an aspiration.
Yeah, that's something that I've always just thought about I could be good at, just because of my my background and the kind of life coaching that I received inadvertently, I'd say, throughout my whole life from the prominent figures in my life. So I think I just have a lot of wisdom when it comes to that. I think my passion for fitness and motivation, mentality, that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
I think it would lend well to that. So maybe down the road, that's something that
Will you use your kinesiology degree?
That's something that I have in my back pocket at all times,
Yeah.
and I think it's a nice safety net,
Yeah.
and it's also something that I use in my day-to-day life when it comes to health and fitness. So, yeah, it was also makes my parents happy, so.
Notice I didn't ask you why you weren't going to use it to become a doctor.
Yeah, well,
I'm sure nobody's mentioned that to you.
no.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just to sort of wrap up, and we have about a minute and a half left or so, I asked you when we were preparing for this to send me some answers to some questions that are sort of silly questions.
I don't know.
No. So one of the questions that interested me was I asked you, Allie, who would you want to play you if we made a movie about your life? Who's that?
Miley Cyrus.
And you're a huge fan.
Yeah, she's the reason I cut my hair, really.
Is it?
Yeah, I think she's just like, she's so talented, but she's just very much herself. So yeah, I love her.
And I asked you what you would call what you would entitle your autobiography.
Yeah.
And what's that?
I remember I said, I don't think I'm clever enough to name it myself, but I think I said, like, just go for it. Or
Go for it.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what do you mean by that?
I think, again, everyone's like, oh, you've just kind of like found something you like and you went for it. And I was like, that just felt like first nature to me. That's like what I felt like I should do. So yeah, I just think everyone should do that if you feel called to do it. So.
Cool. And what would your autobiography be entitled?
I would name it You versus You.
And what does that mean?
It's just pretty much what I live by. You versus you every day of your life. You're always competing with yourself. You shouldn't be comparing yourself to anyone else. You should be comparing yourself to your past version of yourself. As long as you're better than you were last year, then you're progressing.
Good for you.
So you versus
Good for you.
every day.
Well, we do have to wrap it up. I want to thank our friends at Rogers who are taping this program, and it'll be played back in a month or so. Thanks to our producer, Madison, and the co-producer, Josh. Thanks to the MCC staff and technicians, Glenn Irwin, who is our technical guy, and Michelle Fair, who is our marketing and promotion coordinator. I want to thank our season sponsors, Kathy Bales, Michelle Dishaw, and Jeff Holloway. They are portfolio managers at RBC Dominion Securities. They provide wealth management services and strategic advice to their clients. I want to thank the show sponsor, Pier 21. Thanks to Nick Baduras and his staff. And to Midland Home Hardware Building and Design Center. Thanks, Kevin, to you and your team for sponsoring the program. I do want to sponsor, we have a little team that puts this together, and it was one of our team who actually suggested this show. That was Lorianne Clancy, who unfortunately is at home sick right now, so couldn't be, which breaks my heart because she's been so excited about this.
I know. We're big fans of her, too.
Yeah, we love Clarence. So
Yeah, we love her.
shout out to Clarence.
So, and also thanks to John Farragher, Brian McKell, Jen Parker, Doris Sloan, and Jonathan Wallace, all of whom are on our little team to help decide what we're going to do. I want to thank the two of you. This has really been fun, and I thank you for putting up with somebody who is 5 decades older than you. You've been very generous and very kind, and I'm fascinated by both of you, and I'm fascinated by the future that you have, and I just wish you every success. To those of you here in the MCC, our guests will meet with you in the atrium. If you'd like to just wait for a minute out there, we'll come out and they'll say hello to you, and I know some of you would love to do that. To those of you who are joining us on Rogers, we thank you very much, and we wish you all the best to all of you, and hope you'll join us next time. Thanks so much.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line. Email us or connect with us on social media.
I did it.
I need it.
The hero gave it.
And I am alive.
As an organ donor, you can save up to 8 lives and enhance the lives of 75 others. please go to our website. Pledge a gift of life. You'll be glad you did.
Focus better.
Partner better.
Sleep better.
Breathe better.
Love better. Work better. Friend better. Unwind better.
Everything gets better when you get active.
You're watching Rogers TV Midland.